Crypto, gaming, and AI. Three of the biggest buzzwords across the whole industry right now. And where we see a crossover in these three words, well, you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to see some of the most explosive gains in the entire crypto market. For those of you who think that the bull market is over, well, this chart here tells me that you are extremely wrong. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what this chart's all about, why you need to pay attention to the key narratives, and a handful of key projects that hit those parameters. So do me a favor, hit that like button. Let's get into today's video. Now guys, first things first, what on earth is this chart all about? Well, it comes from DeFiLlama.com. And if you go down to where it says raises, you can find this. This is pretty much the best indicator that I've found of where we are in a bull market. And these green bars show the amount of money that's being raised by venture capital funds into new projects over a period of time. In the last bull market, we went up to nearly $7 billion, and the bull market before that, 3.5. Right now, we are barely even scraping the $1 billion level, which tells me we are nowhere even near beginning this full-blown bull market, and we still need to be patient. So right now, you're looking at the Bitcoin chart and you're panicking and you're worried and you're like, well, it could be going lower. I don't know how much lower it's going to go. I get you. I understand. But really, we need to take the bull by the horns, because right now, you never know whether 5 minutes time from now, Bitcoin's going to go shooting back up higher, drag all the altcoins with it, and you will have missed this dip. The smart money buys the dips, and they buy the key narratives within those dips. And it's no mystery that one of the key narratives that everyone talks about is gaming and GameFi. Why is that? Well, because it's such a natural fit for crypto, and despite what everyone says, we are still very early in the space. Video game market revenue is in the billions of dollars, one of the fastest growing industries anywhere worldwide, but not as fast as the blockchain game market revenue, which currently sits at $22 billion, which is pretty impressive given that GameFi and Web3 gaming hasn't been really around for that much time and is starting to slowly catch up on the traditional gaming markets. That's extremely big. And we can see that Web3 gaming related funding has also been massively expanding. 2021, 2022, we saw huge growth, particularly within this area, okay? And this funding has been continuing to grow in 2023. Yes, it's a bit of a dip on 2022, but I bet you that 2024 will probably be one of the biggest funding years that GameFi has ever seen, and that's bullish for the early adopters. Now, it isn't just gaming that's expanding. We're seeing huge growth across AI, and particularly AI cryptos. See how this is all coming together quite nicely? Well, AI cryptos are starting to see massive growth, and that's because they offer huge opportunity for development into the future. Now, if we look into this Wired.com article, you can see that AI agents are the future element of all of that. And no, I'm not just going to go and read you this article like other people out there might do. I'm actually going to tell you what an AI agent is, simply, and why it might be beneficial to gaming. Now, you've probably come across in your time a ChatGPT, which is a large language model. Okay, there are lots of different types of these, and large language models are great because you can ask them questions and they respond like a human, and they tell you lots of information, and they can also help you with things because they have a lot of language and information to share with you. But it's fairly limited, okay, because you can't then go and ask it to do anything for you. An AI agent effectively takes all the large language model information. It then can use this information, it can react to different scenarios, and it can go out and act on your behalf. This is really cool because it can be used in gaming, it can be used in lots of other things, but particularly within gaming. And be patient, we're going to get to the projects in just a moment that offer this kind of crossover between AI and gaming, okay? And actually, I first came across this concept along with when I came across Deepin back in December, which feels like years ago, when I read this Messari report. And Messari is definitely worth checking out. You can either pay for it, but I'm pretty sure you can access these articles for free. AI agents in gaming expand player types and revenue potential. Now, this is really interesting because if you think about your average video game out there, you're playing video games, you have a number of different environments you can run around in or do whatever in. You have a number of different players and characters which have, you know, pre-programmed personalities and pre-programmed kind of things going on. But imagine a video game where the environment can change based on the way that you're interacting with it. Okay, maybe as people interact with it over time and feedback into the system, the AI can update the environment and have a more natural, ever-changing environment. Not only that, but the individuals in the game, instead of having to have real people, you can have various free-to-think AI brains that can then go off and operate within the game ecosystem, creating an almost unimaginable opportunity within the game space, because theoretically you'll probably never get bored of games that can continually develop and match you based on your own skills that they've been learning from you, also creating new environments and changing the whole kind of gameplay as things move forward. So whilst I'm just kind of imagining what the potential is, I think it's important to realize that, yeah, this is kind of like AI and what AI is going to be doing, because AI is really going to be down to the imagination that you can give to it, and probably in the future its own imagination. So what's the story in the market right now? Well, lots of people are panicking, they're scared, they don't really feel very happy, and quite rightly, okay? We're all down a bit in the dumps because our bags are shrinking and we had lots more money, or felt like we had lots of more money 2 or 3 weeks ago. And that's because Bitcoin is effing around up here, not really making any decisions where it's going, and you know, there's always a chance that Bitcoin does this or does this, which obviously people don't like to hear, but really you've got the best opportunity right now to be investing into the key narratives that maybe you missed already. And the first one I'm going to talk about today is none other than Echelon Prime, and if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll let you know where I think this particular coin can go. Now, obviously, if you were subscribed to my channel back in the early days, back in the autumn, when I talked about this for the first time, then you would have been able to pick up Echelon Prime somewhere in and around this area here. Since then, it's been up around 300%, currently up around 156% from there. And yes, it would be great to have a time machine and to have been able to buy in down here. And if you were lucky enough to do so, let me know down below in the comments how well you've done since. But the great thing is about crypto is we always have another bite of the cherry as long as we can be patient and not buy the pumps. Instead, we need to buy the pullbacks. I'm not going to say the dumps because this isn't really a dump. It's down around 40%, which is pretty healthy for Echelon Prime. But before we go and ape into it, because we're not stupid, we find out what it's about, whether or not it actually has potential, and what might be coming up for it in the future. So jumping across to Echelon Prime Foundation. Echelon Prime is a gaming platform that is integrating, guess what, AI agents into gaming, which kind of makes a lot of sense as to why I might be talking about it on this AI agent gaming crossover video. And actually the next project I feel is much earlier on, potentially more exciting, because Echelon Prime's already been blowing up. Now, Echelon Prime has already got a couple of games out. Has this one called Parallel, and yes, this is a very sexy website, and Parallel, despite looking really, really trendy and really sexy, is ultimately an NFT card-playing game. And you're like, well, what kind of value does an AI agent have there? Good question. Haven't really kind of figured that out too much, okay? But with gaming, it's all about what's coming up. What's the future? What does the future hold? Because we're pretty basic, right? We're crypto degens. That's why we like investing in gaming coins, because they have nice, pretty websites and we can kind of understand what they do. And other YouTubers out there can tell us that they're really good and we love them, which makes us feel warm and fuzzy about buying them, and ultimately is why they do well. Anyway, okay, so they already have an active card game called Parallel. Sci-fi based competitive card game where players build decks and face off, bank energy, and build armies to decide the fate of humanity. Lovely. Working game, always key, but ultimately what I'm more excited about for Echelon Prime is what's coming up. And that is this game, Colony. Now, I'm not excited about it because I want to play it, okay? Sorry for those like purists who love a bit of gaming. Nothing against it. Played games in the past. Sadly, not enough time on my hands these days. Now, Colony is literally just a white paper right now, and you can go through and find out more about it. But it's launching at the end of this year on Solana, which is quite important because Solana is a very big ecosystem, and I think by the end of this year could be phenomenally big, and the whole ecosystem will get wrapped up in this kind of rocket ship that's going to go bigger than I think many have even imagined. Okay, you know, I've gone down a rabbit hole as per, right. Colony is a survival game, like a one-on-one multiplayer battle game where you kind of have to like survive in this whole thing. Okay, really cool. Go down through, you can find out lots more information about it. Now, this is ranked as a AAA game, which for those of you who are gamers out there are probably quite excited about. Because of the whole gaming ecosystem, AAA games make up about 0.4% of all of the gaming space, which means we can get a AAA rated game, of which the others you can probably remember might be the likes of Halo or Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto. These games, paired up with NFTs, paired up with tokenomics, and paired up with the ability to earn tokens, particularly in the growing, expanding economy, will obviously do incredibly well. Now, what I like about this is you can see it's about creating and deploying AI avatars within Colony. So you yourself will be existing in this particular zone, and then there's going to be other AIs dropped into the simulation where you can kind of interact with these people, you can build up teams, you can run around doing all sorts of different things, and it's going to continually evolve. Pretty much one of the most exciting, if not scary things that I've heard. Why would I say it's scary? Well, because I think video games, when I used to play them back in the day, were pretty damn addictive back then. I can only imagine just how addictive and kind of like life-consuming some of these games might be going forward. But I'm not here to judge you on how you use your time. I'm here to aid in how we might want to invest in things that could potentially yield big profits. Now, that's not coming out till Q4 of this year, which means we have some good time to build towards it. Now, what's cool about this particular game for Prime is that users can use Prime tokens to create AI avatars and then put these avatars out there into this kind of environment. At the moment, there's around 11,000 NFT characters that will be integrated into the game, but there's going to be continually more added as users come along and create their own. So it's pretty evident. I'm pretty excited about what's going on with Echelon Prime right now. So let's have a quick look at a chart, identify whether or not it's a good time for entry, identify whether or not it has good potential into the future based on market cap and, other things. So if we come across the Echelon Prime website, you can see circulating supply sits around 32%. Not amazing, but for gaming, you can see they tend to have fairly inflationary based models. $638 million market cap. Pretty big, okay? Especially when you're Axie Infinity just above it with around $1 billion in market cap. But if we go back to the last kind of bull market top, you can see Axie Infinity had something like a $9 billion market cap. Now, yes, we're getting the crossover with AI and gaming and all that stuff, and it all sounds really exciting and great. But I think realistically, from current price levels, you can really expect max 15x to maybe 20x for Echelon Prime. Now, lots of you will think, oh, that's rubbish. I don't want to invest in something like that. The reality of it is, though, is I'm actually giving you the reality, okay? You probably think that's like crap to see a 15x or a 20x because you've been watching too many YouTubers telling you that you're going to get 100x out of a token, when really the only people who get 100x's out of those tokens are like the VCs who are investing before those projects even go live, okay? If it's already got a $600 million market cap, you're not going to see 100x. Now, let's have a look at a chart. And I'm going to use this as an opportunity to explain something to you. As the price starts to fall, many of you will be like, well, it could go lower. And you are absolutely right. It can. You never know where it's going to stop and turn around. So ultimately, our only way to be able to gain exposure is on a pullback and identify a place at which it may well start to move up again based on kind of buy zone areas. Now, if you look at a chart, there are multiple kind of buy zone areas throughout this chart, and depending on your appetite for risk and depending on your kind of like own personal situation and whether you got more money coming in every month that you can keep injecting into crypto, that's going to have an impact on how you invest in this, and it's independent for each of you. Now, for me, for example, a person who wants exposure to a project and has access to kind of funds that are coming in every few weeks or so, then I can perhaps be prepared to go a little bit harder into some of these upper buy zones. However, if you only have a limited supply of cash and etc., then maybe you have to be a little bit more limited, and maybe you can prepare to be a little bit calmer in case the prices do move down against you, because no one can give you a guarantee. So all we need to do to identify buy zone, look for these big candles. You see this big black one here, and you can see another big one here. You can see another big one here. And what we're going to do is just simply draw a box across the bottoms of the big candles. Now you can see we have already gone down below that one up there, so it's not so relevant. We have another one coming out of this area, and you'll notice where we are right now. So let's go down below. You can see there's probably another one down here, and, vice versa. So if this is a coin you wanted to get into, is it a good time to get into it? Now, obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, but all I know is that at previous points when the price of Prime entered this purple box, lots of big buyers entered into it, and you can see it happened a few times. Okay, there's no guarantee that it's going to happen again, but you can see that there's a chance that we get a shove from this buy zone area here. If we don't, then there's the next buy zone is down here. So if you were kind of like a risky, degen, maybe you go 100% of the money you were putting in here, like $100 or whatever it was. If it came down to here, you could put $50 in here and maybe another 50 down here. Or if you were like really, really scared and you're really bearish, you can go $25, and if it gets to here, you're probably just going to quit crypto, or you can put in 50. Up to you, okay? Higher risk, to go in earlier, but then you also run the risk of missing it completely if it turns around and does that. And crypto does do that, okay? When you least expect it. Echelon Prime looks good. I like the narrative. Happy days. But I actually think there's a better one out there, and then I found it by going through Twitter, would you believe? Now, over on Twitter, you can go through my link down below in the description. I am now starting to bring in the lot of tutorials that I do on these videos every single day, okay? Step-by-step tutorials on how I find whale wallets to track. Step-by-step tutorials on how I use some of the different AI tools to be able to find killer projects time and time again without wasting hours and hours of my life. Many people are like, how on earth do you make these videos every single day? And no, contrary to popular belief, it's not because I'm an absolute legend. It's because I'm good at shortcutting the system, okay? I follow and use all these tools, and I save so much time that I actually have some nice time on the side to be able to share some things with you. Therefore, if you want to see these step-by-step tutorials, make sure you are subscribed to my Twitter, link down below in the description. Now, this is the next project I quite like the look of. Why do I like the look of? Well, because I know what's happened to Echelon Prime, okay? Echelon Prime was pumped hard as hell from the bottom. Obviously, it had that kind of first launch, which everyone would be like, oh, it's a dead coin. Like, people hate those launches, even though it literally happens to every new coin going. And then after that kind of initial, what was it, horrendous 83% dip. So after that initial 83% push down, it's now up like 14, 15x. At one point, it was up 23x. So while we're looking at it now as like a 15x, you could have already got your 15x on it, and now be looking at like crazy, you know, life-changing gains, even if, you know, you don't think 15x is life-changing already. Okay, so based off this, AI Arena is yet to launch, which I quite like the look of. Okay, so AI Arena is kind of similar in essence to Super Mario Smash Bros, which, despite me sitting here and trying to convince you that I was always too good to ever play video games, is actually a game that I have played in the past, and something that's actually pretty cool. I know that tons of people like playing it because it's easy to learn the rules. It doesn't really have kind of like loads of different ages of people can play it, loads of people with different interests, all sorts of other things, okay? So it's like a universally accepted game, which is good because it broadens the opportunity and the outreach. AI Arena has this pretty average website with this like little nodding head in the middle, and you're like, okay, tell me more. Twitter, and I recommend not discounting projects when you see that they only have a website so far, okay? What you have to go and do is start to look into their Twitter and see what the potential is here. 280,000 followers, bonkers, okay, backed by Paradigm, a hugely successful investment firm with 220,000 followers, also backed by Highframe, and also created by Arena X Labs, which is also monstrous in terms of following. And you can see this, the very first tweet here, AI Tames Gaming is one of the leading narratives, and you can still position yourself on one of the shiny upcoming tokens, raised $11 million, hosted by PTA campaign so far. So that's pretty cool. You can go and get involved in all the other bits and pieces going on within this platform. And I highly recommend that you go and start to look at some of the new launches within the trending narratives, gaming, AI gaming and stuff that are coming up. And here you can do that on cryptorank.io. Go to IDOs, go to upcoming, okay? And you can just click on the category, and then you can swing down to where it says GameFi. You then have a list of all the upcoming games that are going to be coming out over the next few months. You can then get well ahead of it, okay? Blast Royale looks really decent. Pixelmon, I think should be a good one, and a handful of others. And I've made a video the other day talking about how to find the biggest winners in this phase of the market. But I recommend not buying them when they go live, okay? Remember Echelon Prime, okay? Everyone apes in, and then these games tend to dump as like the VCs, etc., sell off. Also depends on the timing of the market. Right now, lots of coins pulling back because obviously the whole market is pulling back. That might be a little bit different if we run into a bull market. So right now, you can't get your hands on this AI Arena, but 100% take a look at it, okay? It's backed by some of the biggest names out there. It seems to have a pretty cool game aligned with Super Mario Smash Bros. And it also is integrating AI agents into that. That's the bit I was supposed to include earlier. It's integrating AI agents, okay? So the AI gaming crossover is where I would be paying my closest attention to. And hopefully that helps, because there's not much of a crossover out there right now in terms of like projects that do both AI agents and the kind of the gaming side of things. Two key narratives. okay? And just keep up to date with their Twitter posts, okay? The things they're kind of talking about, all the kind of launches and stuff that's going on. If you get into the early adopters, you can help out with the running of things. Maybe even you can get into your own kind of like pre-investment rounds with these projects by showing them good support early on. Now, this next project is partnered with the channel and something that caught my attention. Now, I know lots of people out there are very into combat sports. UFC, one of the fastest growing sporting industries out there. Also boxing and other combat sports, starting to see a comeback. Now, FX1 is basically a smart app that uses AI to analyze live fights, like at the recent UFC 300 event. Now, during the fights, the AI is reading the behavior of the different fighters to analyze how tired these fighters are, to identify where they're taking strikes on their body, and ultimately enabled you as a viewer to identify whether or not you have better odds of putting bets on certain fighters within that particular event. This is really interesting because I think this particular tech and model could then be applied to other sports out there, such as American football, rugby, horse racing, you name it. An AI that is literally analyzing sport as it's going ahead to give you more information about that particular event and how things might turn out. This can give you a cutting edge on sports betting. And while you might not be particularly interested in sports betting, it's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry. You can download this right now through the link down below in the description on the App Store or Google Play Store and start to use it with live UFC fights as they come up in the future. You can see coverage of all the top UFC bouts, real-time statistics that include speed and pounds per force. You can see all the different data and how it's being shared here, which is really pretty cool and something that is completely unprecedented. They also have other things coming up in the future, like the One Championship, Bellator, and a few others. And as I said, I'm really looking forward to how this might be integrated into future sports and turned into an all-round platform that can be used for it. Now, if you so wish, you can also pick up the FXI token, which currently has a market cap around $6.7 million, and potentially hold it and stake it, anticipating that this particular app could have significant growth into the future as this starts to catch on across different sporting arenas. Now, if you remember us talking about buy zones earlier in specific areas where we could be seeing some sort of activity, this clearly is one. But obviously, it's a time in the market where we could be continuing to see some downside, so obviously go and do your own research before investing. This is something that I look at as a potential longer term investment, banking on the future of this app and all the things that are going on around it in this space. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video and it gave you some value and you learned something new that you haven't learned before, please just do me a favor, smash that like button. I really thank you for that. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see something a bit different, see some new information that you haven't learned about before, and upgrade yourself to become a better crypto trader, then make sure you're subscribed. And I'll see you tomorrow in another video. Bye bye.